The prospects of America supplying intelligence to Canada in this entire matter, how seriously do you take that, Vivek Kharju? Do you think that America behind the scenes is using this as leverage to put pressure on India? Should this make New Delhi more wary about how we look at America, because India has been tilting more westwards, embracing the United States as a counterbalance to China as part of America's Indo-Pacific strategy, whereas actually in India's interest it is to be as close to being friendly with China as is possible?
Look, I'll say something which I hope won't be misunderstood, but I'll say it bluntly. We should never overlook the solidarity that the Anglo-Saxon world has for themselves. And as a pointer to this, let me point to AUKUS, the Australian, UK and US nuclear submarine project, where the Australians are going to build nuclear submarines on the technology supplied by the Americans, in which the French too have been excluded. We talk of code. So therefore, this Five Eyes. What is this intelligence cooperation? It is the cooperation of the Anglo-Saxon world. They think the Anglo-Saxon world has this feeling of solidarity, which is almost, how should I say, atavistic. It's primeval. And we should never overlook that. Now, that doesn't mean that they don't look at their greater interests. But when it comes to closing ranks, they have always done so. Let us not forget that. I'm sorry I'm putting it straightforward.
You must, absolutely.
But I think we should understand this.
Abhijit, do you think this should make India more wary about embracing the United States to the extent that it could potentially create problems for us going forward?
Absolutely, Rahul, because look, we've signed SISMOA, or at least our variant of SISMOA, I think it's called something else, which is the interoperability agreement with the United States. Now, if the US is spying on us to this degree already, imagine what interoperability will allow them to do. That is spying literally on every single one of your units, where they are, what their ammunition levels are, where they're deploying to, etc., etc. I think this raises a very, very big question on the India-US relationship, especially more so because the way the Five Eyes agreement is structured isn't that it requires Antony Blinken or the president to say, yeah, sure, share this intelligence with them. It's that countries that have huge hostile constituencies to India, like the Pakistani-run BBC and the Pakistani-infiltrated police services in Britain, or the Khalistani-infiltrated establishment in Canada, can just go into American intelligence and pick and choose what they want. Do not forget, Khalistanis in Canada cooperate very, very closely with Pakistan and the ISI. One of the reasons the Kartarpur corridor has been opened up is precisely because of this kind of collaboration that has been going on. There are too many second and third order consequences now of having any kind of intelligence sharing or interoperability with America after this episode.
Jyotjit Sabharwal, how are you looking at the pressure from Punjab, the pushback from the Canadian diaspora, from the Punjabi Canadian diaspora, saying that your action has gone overboard, this should have been dealt with at a government, political, diplomatic level. Now too many family, friends are involved, it's unfair to them.
See, I must make it very clear that we as South Indian Sikhs, we have had enough now. I mean, it took 3
months for Justin Trudeau to come into the parliament and speak on murder of Hardeep Nijjar based on Google information. That's very unfortunate. And, there have been movements in Canada. There have been movements led by separatists in Canada. You talk about Quebec, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, Labrador. India has never interfered. But Khalistanis have been openly, organizing demonstrations, referendums, putting hoardings, calling for assassination of Indian officials. And Hardeep Nijjar's son, he just gave a statement that his father was in touch with the CSIS, the Canadian intelligence, and the Canadian intelligence advised him to stay at home. That means somehow, it would not be wrong to argue that the Canadian intelligence was protecting Mr. Nijjar. So there is nothing as such. We are late, but it's never too late. And whatever restrictions are being put in place for the Khalistanis, it is a very good step. And it is very pertinent here to mention that there is no harm in putting such restrictions. And in the coming days, we will see more such restrictions.
We're already seeing an NIA clamp down on Khalistani terrorists and their Indian assets. And when people look at it, many would wonder, including those who are watching at this time, why wasn't this done earlier? Why did somebody like Gurpatwant Pannu have so much land, property in Chandigarh, Amritsar, etc.? Why wasn't this seized earlier? Like it has been for leaders of the Hurriyat Conference, like it has been for Kashmiri separatist leaders. Yes, Mr. Sarwar, please.
See, this is a whole conspiracy run by the Khalistani elements, and I would sum up in 30 seconds. Khalistanis, just like Gurpatwant Singh Pannu. Now he said he's been asking Hindus to leave Canada and go to India. The basic motive behind this is they want to incite Hindus, they want to incite the Indian agencies, they want Hindus to retaliate and say that Sikhs should leave Bharat. They want to create a narrative that Sikhs are unsafe in Bharat, whereas we are proud Indians and we are safe in Bharat. The only thing is they want to defame India and they want to amplify their radicalization process, because the more unsatisfied and the more unsafe Sikhs will feel in India, they are more prone to join their movement Khalistan.
No, but also it's a bit rich. It's a bit rich in conclusion, Abhijit, for all these Khalistani terrorists sitting in Canada to talk about an independent Punjab when most of them have absolutely no intention of coming back anywhere close to Punjab. They're living on their farms in Canada very happily, so fomenting trouble but not wanting to come back.
Absolutely, Rahul. And you do need to remember this is an organized crime network. The biggest victims of these Khalistanis are in fact Canadian Sikhs. Do you know the kind of terror Canadian Sikhs live under? Imagine a poor boy from, say, rural Bathinda or rural Ludhiana landing up in Canada. Socially awkward. He has to depend on on his uncles or aunties or whatever to get a job, to get accommodation, to get whatever. And that is entirely run as an extortion network. I myself remember lived in Australia. I faced this as a Tamil, where I had to suppress my Tamil identity because in Melbourne, the LTT used to run extortion networks. It is in fact the future citizens of the so-called Khalistan who are the biggest victims of these so-called Khalistani leaders. I think everybody sees them for what they are, except apparently the Canadian government.